The Word Holocaust by Bruno Bettelheim. At first, it was not the unfortunate victims of the Nazis themselves who referred to their incomprehensible and inevitable fate as the Holocaust. It was the Americans who used this artificial and very specific term to give a name to the extermination of the European Jews by the Nazis. An event described as the vilest mass murder immediately arouses intense revulsion, while a rare and specialized term requires retranslation into emotionally meaningful language. The use of technical or newly created terms instead of words from our everyday vocabulary is one of the best known and most widespread strategies for keeping distance and thereby separating the intellectual from the emotional experience. By speaking of Holocaust, we take the event intellectually, but the unvarnished reality would overwhelm us emotionally. It was a catastrophe, so beyond all comprehension and imagination, that we have to force ourselves against our own will if we want to integrate these horrific events into our picture of reality. This kind of linguistic paraphrasing began at a time when all these things were still in the planning stage. Even the Nazis themselves, who usually did not lack brutality in speech and action, shied away from a clear description of their intentions and called this heinous mass murder the final solution to the Jewish question. After all, the solution of a question is an honorable task as long as we do not have to recognize that the desired solution consists of the arbitrary and shameful murder of millions of helpless men, women, and children. The Nuremberg judges who had to deal with these Nazi crimes followed the example of paraphrasing by coining a neologism whose linguistic elements were part Greek, part Latin. Their term was genocide. These scientific terms bear no relation to our strongest feelings. The horror of any murder is part of the human heritage and is indissoluble. From our earliest childhood, this word arouses a deep revulsion in us. We should therefore leave murder, in whatever context it appears, with its true name, and not disguise it with distant, erudite terms taken from some ancient classical language. To call a vile mass murder a Holocaust by no means implies that a special name has been found here, one that leaves the thing designated with a negative uniqueness and gradually fills it with feelings appropriate to the event designated. The exact translation of the word Holocaust is burnt offering. This word, however, is a word from the language of the psalmist, a word heavy with meaning for all those familiar with the Bible and its manifold emotional overtones. By using the term Holocaust, or burnt offering, conscious and unconscious shifts in meaning are used to create completely false connections between the most horrific mass murder on the one hand and ancient rituals of a deeply ruthless nature on the other. Using a term that has such a strong unconscious religious tinge to describe the murder of millions of Jews has the effect of robbing the victims of this hideous mass murder of the only good they have left. We mean their uniqueness. To call this most brutal, most emotional, most gruesome, and most heinous mass murder a burnt offering is a sacrilege, a profanation of God and man.